Alright, so I am recording this on Sunday. Alright, I'm recording this on Sunday, but it will be uploaded on draft day. So, if you are watching this on draft day, which obviously you will be, if you're not watching it late, hopefully the Detroit Lions do something good and take a defensive end. But this mock draft is going to be a mock draft where Lions fans are going to hate it. I know they're going to hate it. I don't like it myself, but this is a mock draft to me. And my mock drafts, by the way, are not going off of players I need. I think it's players that the Detroit Lions would take. You know, for example, I'm trying to think of a guy that the Lions just would not take, even though it's position need. They will not take a guy like James Pierce. They will absolutely not take a guy like James Pierce just because of his off-the-field issues. I mean, like, Brad Holmes brought up in this press conference that, it's more than just, what people say and stuff like that. But I just don't see the Lions taking James Pierce. They don't take a guy like James Pierce. They didn't take Jalen Carter when he was sitting there. I don't think they're going to take a guy like James Pierce. So, if he's sitting there. So, this mock draft is going to be, I think, something that the Lions could do. There's two guys specifically in here that I drafted that I think there's an insanely high chance that the Lions take just from how many interviews they've had with the Lions and just from how they speak and how I feel like how much grit they got, if I'm making that make sense. They got a lot of grit. They seem like a Lion, Dan Campbell type of guy. So I will go as players when I need to. But like I said, we traded up in our first mock draft. We traded back in our second mock draft. So now we are staying put here at pick 28. This guy fell into my laps. Well, some Lions fans are going to like it. Some are going to hate it. More going to hate it. I'm more on the hate towards side. And the Detroit Lions with the 28th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Detroit Lions select Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. I'm not joking. He fell into my laps here, pick 28. Matthew Golden is my third ranked wide receiver in the draft. When you're seeing this video, you already saw the rankings. He is behind guys like Tedderell and McMillan and a guy like Luther Burden. Luther Burden's only going to fall because of his off-the-field issues, in my opinion. Phenomenal wide receiver, ex-wide receiver. He'll go really early in the draft if a team does not really care about the off-the-field issues. He's a phenomenal receiver. Matthew Golden's my third wide receiver in the draft. I have a back-end first-round grade on him. Not an early mid first-round grade on him like a lot of NFL fans do. But he's still a first-round wide receiver in my opinion. He fell into my laps on my mock draft simulator that I did this on. So I went ahead and take him. That's going to be our wide receiver 3 for this year, and will be our Jamison Williams replacement to be wide receiver 2 next year, the year after that. So again, this is a mock draft again that I will not do. This is a mock draft that I believe Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes would do, just like all of my other mock drafts I've done as well. But this is a mock draft that is going to upset a lot of Lions fans, but this is legitimately what the truth I could see after watching Brad Holmes' press conference about a week ago. So the Detroit Lions take Matthew Golden, pick 28, fill the wide receiver 4 position, wide receiver 3 for position for the season, and get the wide receiver 2 of the future with Matthew Golden. Now, we have a trade. We also made 3 trades in this video, just like our last mock draft. We have traded up with the Carolina Panthers. The Detroit Lions received pick 57 and pick 163. The Carolina Panthers received pick 160 and pick 130. So they get, pick 60 and pick 130. So they get our second round pick and they get our 4th round pick. We get their second round pick and they get our 5th, and we get their 5th round pick. And with the 57th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Josiah Stewart, defensive end, Michigan. Love Josiah Stewart. Had 9 sacks this past year in college. I believe he had 6 the year prior. Very productive defensive end. The Lions have had 3 visits with him. They had a top 30 visit, I believe. They had a formal visit, and they had a visit at the Combine. It's the most of any player of the Lions I've had a visit with. He's from Detroit, from Michigan. Went to Michigan. Very productive defensive end. The only thing that makes me think that the Lions would not go ahead and try to take him is because he's not a type of defensive end that the Lions usually try to go towards. He's kind of a James Houston type build. I believe he's around 248 pounds, only 6'1", which is around exactly kind of what James Houston's weight and size was. I believe James Houston was around 6'2", 245, somewhere around there. So the Lions don't usually tend to like those type defensive end builds. But again, he's a Dan Campbell type of guy. They've had 3 visits with him. Very productive defensive end. He's from Michigan. The Lions go ahead and trade up and get their defensive end, hopefully opposite Hutchinson, like I think Josiah Stewart potentially could be. He is the best defensive in my eyes. Let's see where he was at on my rankings once again. I believe he was Josiah Stewart is my 12th ranked defensive end. I have him going back end second round, which is where we take him. This defensive end class is so good. I mean, you might say 12. Well, that's like fourth, fifth round. No, with how good this defensive end class is, I have a back end second round grade on him. So Josiah Stewart, had to go ahead and take him here. Dan Campbell type of guy. So the Lions just go ahead and take him. They take best player available. Um, and we have another trade. The Detroit Lions are trading back with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills will receive pick 102. The Detroit Lions will receive pick 109 and pick 173, which I believe is their sixth round pick. I believe that's like the first pick in the sixth round. And with the 109th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jalen Reed, safety, Penn State. I have a third round grade on this guy from Detroit. He had a local visit meeting with the Detroit Lions. He's from Detroit, was born in Detroit. Very productive safety at Penn State. I really like this film. I honestly think he could be better than Kevin Winston in the NFL. A lot of people have Kevin Winston as a better safety, but I absolutely love Jalen Reed. Jalen Reed is my sixth ranked safety in the draft. Again, I have a third round grade on him. He is going to be phenomenal in the NFL. A lot of people have a fourth round grade on him, but I think this guy's going to be phenomenal in the NFL. So the Detroit Lions go ahead and trade back with the Buffalo Bills, move back 7 spots, get an early fourth round pick, and take Jalen Reed. This is a great pick by the Detroit Lions, best player available at the safety position. Um, Again, he's going to be a dog in the NFL. You get your safety 3 of the future, and the Detroit Lions immediately feel you can say 3 positions in need. And we have our third and final trade. The Detroit Lions are trading up. They are trading up 6 spots with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will receive pick 163 that we got from the Carolina Panthers, and pick 196, which is our original 6th round pick. The Detroit Lions receive pick 157. And with the 157th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Ahmed Hassanininen, defensive end / defensive tackle, Boise State. The guy's more of an interior guy, so more of a defensive tackle, but he's only played, I believe, football for, I want to say, like 2-3 years or something like that. He is from Egypt, all right? Seems like Dan Campbell type guy. He had an unreal performance at the combine. To me, great size defensive lineman, very productive this past year at Boise State. Had 10 sacks. The guy's just gonna fall, I think, simply just because he hasn't played football that long. But he seems like a Dan Campbell type of guy. Just from the interviews I've watched, there's a very high chance him and Josiah Stewart, in my opinion, end up as Detroit Lions. This guy can play the run pretty good, can rush the passers, interior defensive lineman or defensive end, more of an interior guy. But he can be like a Josh Pascal type, but a better pass rusher than Josh Pascal. So I love this pick. Can potentially be a Josh Pascal replacement after this year. So this is a great pick for the Detroit Lions. I have let's see what grade I have on Ahmed Hassanininen. I have him as my 23rd defensive end in the draft. I have him listed as a defensive end on my big board. I have ranked as my 23rd defensive end, and I have a 6th round grade on him. Or excuse me, no, I have a 5th round grade on him. So the Detroit Lions go ahead and take him. This is a great pick for the Lions, in my opinion. And with the 173rd pick that the Detroit Lions got from the Buffalo Bills, which is the first pick in the 6th round, the Detroit Lions select Joshua Gray, guard, Oregon State. Guy's from a very small school. I haven't watched much film of him at all. I know a lot of Lions fans like him, a lot of analysts like him. I'm gonna be honest, really have not watched, like I said, any film on him. But he's projected to go late 5th, early 6th round. So the Detroit Lions go ahead and get him with the first pick in the 6th round here that they got with from the Buffalo Bills trade to get Jalen Reed. And they go ahead and select Joshua Gray, guard, Oregon State. This guy has a lot of potential from the smallest school. This guy has a lot of potential to be good. Also has a lot of potential to suck. So, I mean, this is just like a low risk, high reward type scenario. So that's all I can pretty much say on this pick. But I did watch one of his interviews. Seems like he somewhat fits the Detroit Lions. And with the 228th pick, which is our first 7th round pick that we got from the Cowboys last year from the Tyrion Arnold trade, the Detroit Lions select Jay Higgins, linebacker, Iowa. Best player available, Dan Campbell type guy. Can somewhat rush the passer, bigger linebacker from Iowa. You can reunite him with Jack Campbell. This is a great pick for the Detroit Lions. Jay Higgins is ranked as my 9th best linebacker in the draft. Linebacker class is not great in my opinion. I have a 5th round grade on him. back end 5th round grade on him. So this is a great pick by the Detroit Lions. A lot of analysts, a lot of people on the mock drafts and stuff like that have him going around the 7th round. But I personally think he's way better than the 7th round pick. Again, low risk, high reward scenario. I think this is a great Jalen Reed's maybe a replacement to be linebacker 5/linebacker 6. So, again, best player available here, still filling a position in need. And this can still allow you to go after another veteran linebacker in free agency. Maybe you bring back a guy like Ben Neiman. So, this is a great pick for the Lions. And what the final pick for the Detroit Lions, with the 244th pick, the second 7th round pick the Detroit Lions have, the Detroit Lions select Taz Chambliss, defensive end, Georgia. Gonna be honest, have not watched any film on this guy, but the Detroit Lions brought him in for a top 30 visit from Georgia, had 6 sacks this past season. Bigger defensive end, I believe he's around 255 pounds, 6'4", somewhere around there, 6'5", somewhere around there. 6 sacks this past year in college. Haven't watched any film, but had a top 30 visit with him. We needed another defensive lineman in my eyes. We already filled pretty much every other position in need. So I just went ahead in here and took a guy that the Detroit Lions had top 30 visit with and one of the best defensive ends still remaining. I don't have a grade on him personally because, again, I haven't watched any film. I don't plan to watch any film on him. Let's see if I do not have a grade on him. But this is a guy, I think if the Lions take him back in the 7th round, it's completely fine. You lock him down for next year instead of in 3 years, get him for 4 years if you were to just pick him up in UDFA free agency. So this is a great pick for the Detroit Lions, in my opinion. Low risk, high reward scenario. So the Detroit Lions go ahead and take him. So, again, recap. The Detroit Lions select Matthew Golden, pick 28. They trade up and get Josiah Stewart, pick 57. They trade back with the Buffalo Bills and receive pick 109. They select Jalen Reed. Then we trade up with the Bucks to get pick 157, select Ahmed Assassinen. Pick 173 that we got from the Buffalo Bills trade, we select Joshua Gray, guard, Oregon State. With our first 7th round pick that we got from the Dallas trade last season in the draft, we select Jay Higgins, linebacker, Iowa. And with our second 7th round pick, we select Taz Chambliss, defensive end, Georgia. To recap our draft, the draft is officially here. Again, when I'm recording this, it's not. But when you're seeing this, it is. Hopefully the Lions do something. They have to take a defensive end. If Brad Holmes does not take a defensive end within the first 2 picks in this draft that they have, wherever that's at through trading and stuff like that, if they do not take a defensive end with their first 2 picks, I am going to lose my mind. Unless if they can somehow get a guy like JT Tuimoloau, Josiah Stewart, somebody to fall to pick 102, which just isn't going to happen. So, all right, Brad Holmes, all I ask, please take a defensive end. All I ask, man. That's all I ask. If you do not take a defensive end, if you go BPA better be a guard or a safety. If it is a guy like Matthew Golden, I'm going to lose my mind. You better trade Jameson Williams. If you do that, you better trade Jameson Williams because you got to make it make sense. So, one pride, go Lions. The draft is now here. I'm excited for it, but also extremely nervous. But one pride, go Lions. Grade my mock draft in the comments down below. This is my most none of these mock drafts are really going to be 100% accurate. None of them. But this is I feel like my mock draft that could be the most realistic. So, grade mock draft in the comments down below. I know you guys are going to grade an F because it is a horrible mock draft in my eyes. I would probably grade it a C. You got some good players after the first round pick, that the first round pick doesn't make any sense to me. But one pride, go Lions. This is what I think the Lions are going to do.